Hello fellow gaijins, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to talk about how I study kanji. I have tried out many different techniques over time. I've been studying Japanese for about almost 3 years now, and I've been speaking it a lot and also reading a lot of Japanese, and I've always had trouble with kanji. Learning kanji can be really hard because of the different pronunciation that exists for one unique kanji. So you can have one kanji, but it has 8 different ways to pronounce it depending on what word or what kanji is used in connection with that kanji. So you have onyomi and kunyomi for a kanji, the Japanese way to say something or the Chinese traditional way to pronounce that kanji, which comes from when the kanji were introduced in Japanese from China. So there are always 2 different ways which also have multiple ways to pronounce a kanji. So there is way too much information to learn if you want to know all the pronunciations and usages of all the kanji. From my experience, I always start learning kanji with some service or some website that is specifically made for learning kanji, like Wanikani for example, which can work if you are really motivated and have a lot of time, because those websites really take determination and you really have to be consistent with learning them, because you will forget them immediately because you don't use them in everyday life. And it gets really confusing when you have 8 different kanji and all of them are pronounced as tai in some instances, even though they all have different meaning and usage. Now, I've been blabbering on and on about how hard kanji are, but I think there is a very practical way that I've been using the past few months to just study kanji that has to do with vocabulary. So I always preach that learning vocabulary first is more important, because learning kanji doesn't have any usage besides maybe reading Japanese and living in Japan. But if you don't live in Japan and you have time to learn that stuff, definitely learn vocabulary first. Whenever I talk about learning vocabulary here on the channel, I always talk about going from the most used vocabulary words to the least used vocabulary word. So I always recommend this website called Quizlet, because it has a lot of different flashcard sets that are made from lists that are officially known to be the most used words in a language. So you can find this also for other languages, but specifically for Japanese, I found a lot of different useful flashcard sets that will help you to just get a good base on vocabulary. So you can see my screen now, and this is the website I was talking about, Quizlet. So here we have one of these flashcard sets I mentioned that is called Japanese Core 1000. So this one in particular is really nice because it also has pictures with the vocabulary, and it's really cool that you can just learn through these 1000 words, and then they are super useful in everyday life. So every word on this card set is usable in any conversation you have, because it's just the most basic stuff you can learn, like to go, to see, a lot, home, this, that, I, work, and so on. So these really are everyday words. Now, as you can see, every single one of these words has their own kanji, and it is here in the parentheses. But while you're learning these, you cannot really learn the pronunciation and the kanji at the same time. If you've been studying Japanese for a while now, you will probably know most of the words on this list. But the kanji can get really difficult, because having a word that is used often doesn't make it simple. This is really a list that I believe in because it is useful in conversations, and you can learn kanji that are used often but are not easy. So most schools, when teaching kanji, go from the most basic kanji, so 4 strokes or 2 strokes, 3 strokes, to the more difficult ones after a few years of study. But the most difficult ones can be actually the ones that are used the most. So why would you not learn the ones that come up most frequently when you are reading or talking to someone, but learn the easiest ones that don't really matter for you because you will never really have to use them? Ato, for example, is not an easy kanji at all, but it's used in every second sentence. So I believe in learning these 1000 words. If you don't know them yet, learn them. And then, let me change the tab here, you can come to this set. This is the core of the video. Japanese Core 1000 with kanji. So, if you look at this, now there is only kanji on one side. And here you have the pronunciation and the translation. I will of course put these in the description, so if you want to use them yourselves, please check them out. They're for free, of course. And as you can see, you can learn exactly the same words as here, but only the kanji words. So it's iku, miru, oi, ie. Here it's the same words. And By doing this, you will know 1,000 words. So assuming you're a beginner now and you don't know these words, learn them, and then you have a repertoire of 1,000 vocabulary words. Then you come here to the kanji and you learn all the kanji for the 1,000 words you know already. So you don't have to fuss about how to pronounce them and everything, because this is already set. You know how to pronounce them. And then imagine you're reading something in English. When you see a word you don't know it. So you don't have to think about the reading. You can read it, but you don't know it. In Japanese, it often happens that you find a word that you know, but you don't know how to read it. So you cannot read something even though you understand what is written. It's really almost like a paradox, but it's just how the Japanese language works. So I always advocate for learning something that is practical for you. So knowing a word means that you should be able to read it. So after saying this, the most logical way to actually be able to achieve this is the way how you would have to go about studying this. You can of course do this also for the next 1,000 words. So if you know all the kanji and all the words on this list, you can go and look for the core 2,000, which also exists on this website. Now let's go over how to use this. You come here, press on flashcards, and then you are redirected here to this screen. Now here you can just press here or use the arrow keys to just scroll through all the words, go up for or down for like flipping the card, and just learn them. Here you have options which are self-explanatory, you can just try it out. But the start option is my favorite thing in this whole website. I always talk about it, but if you don't know, the start option is a way to memorize the things that you don't know yet. So you could go through all these 900 words and then just put a star here or press S on the keyboard to mark this as something that you don't know yet. And then, after you've gone through all of it and only marked the things that you don't know, you can come to option and press on start. This will really save you time. As you can see now here, from this list, I have 400 words as start. And when these words come up in a manga or something you're reading, you know them because you know the words, and not just because you know the kanji and the pronunciation, but actually because you can use that word in a meaningful way. Now, if you would be doing this for 6,000 words and know all the kanji for the 6,000 words you know, I think you would be able to read almost everything in Japanese. Now, if you agree with me, let me know in the comments. If you disagree with me, also let me know in the comments. I love to hear your opinions on this. This is just how I see learning kanji, as something much more practical and not just a chore that you have to go through in order to learn Japanese, because learning 2,000 kanjis with pronunciations and onyomi, kunyomi, differentiations and how to use them in what case can be really daunting. And in my opinion, this is the most practical way to go about learning to read fast, because all these words are actually used everywhere. So if you know these kanji, you can actually read much better than if you don't. I hope this kind of makes sense for you. If you want to support this channel, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Ja ne!